What's up, everybody? My name is Hameen Phillips, and you're watching the Sticky Web Domains channel. Do you feel like you've just been pounding and pounding out applications, going to interviews, and you still can't land a job on the railroad? Well, you're in luck, because I'm about to give you some tips to show you how to do it.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been getting a lot of questions on my comments regarding not being able to land that job on the railroad. So I felt like, you know what, it's time I make a video to give you guys the best advice I possibly can to help you land that job. I got a question here from Chris. What up, Sticky Web? I have applied for a lot of positions for UP. I make it to interviews and get turned down. Well, Chris, I'm sorry to hear that you haven't been landing the job and that you've been going to interviews and still getting turned down, but you got to ask yourself, what is it that you possibly could be missing or not doing right? Why are you not landing the job? And actually, I can understand if you don't land the first one. I didn't land my first job with the railroad. I interviewed for UP first, and I didn't get it. So I understand where you're coming from, but I did land it the second time around with BN. I kind of got an idea of some of the things I did wrong, and I'm about to share that information with you guys. Let's just dive right into it. Number one, and I think is most important, is be on time. Yes, be on time, if not even early. You definitely want to have yourself together and ready. Being on time is very important because you don't want them to not take you seriously. So if you're scrambling in at the last minute or just the last one in, they might think you're just not all that serious about working for the railroad. So I gotta really stress that being on time, if not early, should be number one. Number two, dress to impress. Now, don't get me wrong when I say this. I'm not saying to put on your Sunday church suit and, look like you're about to go to a wedding. I'm just saying don't go in a baseball cap and tennis shoes and shorts. Show some respect for this interview and try to look your absolute best. I would say like a polo shirt, maybe like a white button-down shirt and some clean blue jeans or some black pants, and some nice shoes. Don't just walk in there like, you're about to go to a baseball game. Dress to impress, but be casual and do not overdo it. Just look casual and decent. All right? So remember that. Number three, sell yourself. Sell yourself and show some personality at that interview. Let them know your strong points. And if you have hobbies and things on the side, that never hurts either. When I went to my interview, I actually went in my Sticky Web Domains vehicle, which is wrapped and my logo and everything's on it. And I mentioned that at the interview. I said, hey, because he asked, what do I do? And I said, oh, I run a business. Did you happen to see that vehicle outside? And he kind of laughed and said, oh, that's yours. And I said, yeah. And I think, that kind of impressed him. So if you got a chance to impress, do it. If you got, some kind of side hustle, side business, you can give them a card or just show them something of what you do outside of maybe your 9 to 5. I think that looks good. That shows them that some initiative that, you do other things outside of your employment. So use every advantage that you can to impress the interviewer and just to help you land that job. Um, Also, ask a few questions, but don't overdo it. Don't go crazy and ask a million questions because that's just annoying. And do not mention money right out the gate. Do not go in there saying how much money can I make and, making it sound like all you care about is the money. That's the number one way to get yourself not hired for the railroad is to bring up money too much. And do not go in there asking about what days off will you get and that you can't work weekends. No. The railroad is all about availability. So if you're going in that interview telling them days that you can't work or just making it sound a little sketchy that you could be a problem, they might just not want to hire you. So do not mention, questions regarding money, time off, vacation, and things that might make them feel like you're not a good fit for the railroad. So keep your questions at a minimum and make them good, solid questions. Do not, ask questions that can scare them away. I've seen that happen on one of my hiring events. One of the guys kept asking the same question over and over, kind of like, hey, do I have to move for this job? Would I be able to work at a terminal near me? And the recruiter clearly told him that, you'll work where you hire out from. And the guy kept asking him over and over again about being closer to home. And that was very annoying. And he did not get the job. So do not go in there being annoying, all right? Just ask good questions, not too many, just the important ones. And do not talk too much about money. If it's a money question, make it a good one. But just don't go too far with that, all right? Another one, don't be a know-it-all when you get in there. I don't care if you know somebody that works for the railroad, your dad might work for the railroad, your brother, your uncle. That don't mean you work for the railroad. The one thing I hate seeing is when people go into these hiring events and act like they know everything. And, that can make you look unhumble, and it can also just make you not land the job. I mean, come on. Nobody wants to hear somebody go into these interviews talking about they know everything about the railroad and all cocky. No. Don't do it. Be humble. Take in the information they're going to give you and don't act like you know everything. Because when you actually get the job, you definitely don't want to have that attitude of knowing everything because you're going to be annoying to everybody who you're working with. So don't be that guy. Listen to what they're saying, and if you already do know something, you don't have to show that you know it. Just be quiet, listen, and take in the information. Don't talk too much, and don't be annoying like you know it all right? That's important. Another one you're going to want to do, safety. If you've ever worked a job that safety was involved, then use that. The railroad is all about safety. So mention safety and how you applied it to some of your current job or past jobs. Because if you can mention the fact that you are careful when you're working and you are alert to your surroundings, that looks good for you. So mention things like, I, am used to working safety or safely, and you are used to always knowing your environment or where you're working and working around equipment and being careful because they're all about that. So definitely use safety in your questions because the railroad is all about safety. Another one you're going to want to do, don't be a snitch. You ever hear the term snitches get stitches? Well, the railroad do not want to hire a bunch of grown people who want to go tell a tale on other employees. If they ask you the question, If you see a coworker doing something you don't like, what would you do? Your answer shouldn't be, I'm going to go to management. That will get you on the chopping block right away. Don't be a snitch. What they want to hear is, I will take that person, take them to the side, and tell them, hey, what you did was unsafe. Next time you should do it this way. And basically what they want to hear is that you'll work it out with the employee and that the management part is the last resort. So if you're going in there acting like you're going to go tell a tale on everything you see somebody do that's wrong, that ain't the answer they're looking for. So snitches get stitches. Don't be a snitch. Another one you're going to want to do, mention that you can work independently. When you're working on the railroad, a lot of times as a conductor, you're going to only be working with an engineer. You're going to be on a road job, and you're going to want to definitely talk about how you have jobs or had a job where you were independent. Because you're not going to have bosses running around the railroad seeing what you're doing. All right? There's going to be little to no supervision on a lot of these jobs. So if you can work independently, definitely bring that up in the interview. Use it to your advantage. Talk about how you've worked independently in your jobs, because that could help you land a job. Show your personality. Just don't be dry. Don't be a robot. Crack a little joke if you can. Don't make it a stupid joke, but just show them you have a personality. You got to understand, you're trying to get on with the railroad. The railroad is very particular about who they pick. You have to stand out. So if you're just going there dry and stiff, that might not be enough to land a job. You might go into a hire event with 50, maybe 100 people, and you got to stand out. They probably only want 10. So have a personality and sell yourself big, because this is your one big chance to land that job. And my last and my final advice to you guys is, if you have tried all these things and you really feel like you just can't seem to land a job, well, there is Choo U. Choo U is really just known as railroad school. There are a few schools out here who will teach you how to work for the railroad. And it could be a little pricey, anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. But if you go to a hiring event and they see this on your resume, that you've invested your money for the railroad, that can impress them. And that could also help you land the job. Now, that is a last resort, people. I do recommend you try to land the job and let the railroad train you. That way you're not dishing out all that money. But if you tried everything and you have no other cards to play, well, there is Choo U. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys like this video, hit that like button below. Share this video with people you might know that's trying to get on the railroad. This video could be very helpful for them, so please share it. Hit that subscribe button if you already are not subscribed. And then that notification bell next to that, go ahead and click that too. That way, you're going to know when I'm live, which I happen to do a lot. I go live and I like to chat with you guys. So if you want to know when I'm going live, that notification bell better be on. Question of the day. How long did it take for you to land a job with the railroad? Was it your first time, second time? Leave those comments below. Let's inspire others. Maybe you didn't get it your first time. Maybe you didn't get it your second time. Maybe it took you 3 times. Leave that comment below and I'll pick a comment winner and feature them in my next video. Until then, I'll see you guys on the rails. Peace.